Before we dive into tonight's terrifying stories, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scary upload. And comment below, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? It's almost midnight when I pull into the gas station just off Highway 9. The fluorescent lights flicker above the pumps, casting everything in that sick yellow glow that makes your skin look dead. I've been driving for 6 hours straight, running on coffee and adrenaline, trying to make it home before my shift starts at 7 in the morning. The highway's been empty for the last hour. Just me, the broken white lines, and the kind of darkness that feels like it's watching you. I'm topping off the tank when I notice him. An older guy, maybe late 50s, standing near the edge of the lot where the light barely reaches. He's wearing a heavy jacket even though it's not that cold, and he's just staring at me. Not looking around, not waiting for someone. Just staring. I look away, finish pumping, and head inside to pay. The clerk's half asleep behind bulletproof glass, doesn't even look up when I slide my card through. When I come back out, the man's closer. He's moved to the other side of my car, near the passenger door. Heading north, he asks. His voice is rough, like he's been smoking for 40 years. I hesitate. Something about him feels wrong, but I can't place it. Maybe it's the way he's standing too still, or how his eyes don't quite focus on mine. Yeah, I say, keeping my distance. Me too. Been waiting 3 hours for a ride. The bus broke down about 10 miles back. He gestures vaguely toward the darkness beyond the station. Don't suppose you could give me a lift? Just to the next town. 20 minutes, tops. Every instinct I have is screaming no. But he looks tired. Defeated. And I've been stranded before. I know what it's like. Alright, I hear myself say. Just to the next town. He nods, doesn't smile, just walks around and gets in. The interior light comes on for a second when he opens the door, and I see his hands. They're covered in small cuts, fresh ones, barely scabbed over. He catches me looking and shoves them into his pockets. Mechanic, he mutters. Comes with the job. I don't say anything. I just pull back onto the highway and try to ignore the way my heart's beating a little too fast. For the first few minutes, he doesn't speak. He just stares out the window at the darkness rushing past. The silence feels heavy, like it's pressing down on the inside of the car. I turn on the radio, but all I get is static. I tried 3 different stations. Nothing but white noise. Radio doesn't work out here, he says quietly. Too far from anything. I glance at him. You from around here? Used to be. His voice is flat, emotionless. Long time ago. I wait for him to elaborate, but he doesn't. The road ahead is completely empty. No other cars, no lights except my headlights cutting through the dark. The trees on either side press in close, their branches reaching over the road like they're trying to trap us underneath. I check the speedometer. 75. I ease off the gas a little. Have you ever picked up hitchhikers before? He asks suddenly. The question catches me off guard. No. First time. He nods slowly, like he expected that answer. People don't do it anymore. Used to be common. Now everyone's too scared. He turns to look at me for the first time since getting in. Smart, I guess. You never know who you're letting into your car. Something about the way he says it makes my stomach tighten. I try to laugh it off. Well, you seem harmless enough. He doesn't respond. Just turn back to the window. Another mile passes. Then another. I see a sign for the next town. 15 miles. I can do 15 miles. I've already done 6 hours. 15 miles is nothing. What do you do? I ask, trying to fill the silence. I told you. Mechanic. Right. Where are you? Nowhere anymore. His voice drops lower. I lost my job about a year ago. Been moving around since then. That's rough. Sorry to hear that. He shrugs. Happens. You lose one thing, then another, then another. Eventually, you don't have anything left to lose. He pauses. That's when things get interesting. I don't like the way he says interesting things. I tighten my grip on the steering wheel. 10 miles to go. The trees seem darker now, thicker. I realize I haven't seen another car in at least 20 minutes. Not one. On a major highway. That's not normal. You got family? He asks. Yeah. Parents. Sister. They know you're driving alone at night? My throat feels dry. They know I'm coming home. He nods again, that same slow, deliberate movement. Good. Good that someone knows. Another pause. You know what's funny? Most people who disappear, they disappear on nights just like this. Empty roads. Middle of nowhere. They just vanish, and no one finds them for weeks. Sometimes months. Sometimes never. My pulse is hammering now. That's a pretty dark thing to say. Is it? He shifts in his seat, and I hear something metallic clink in his jacket pocket. I think it's just realistic. People die every day. Cars go off roads. Drivers fall asleep. Accidents happen. He turns to look at me again. Are you tired? No, my voice comes out shakier than I want it to. You look tired. I don't respond. 7 miles. The sign flashes past. I press the gas a little harder. 80 now. I don't care. I just want him out of my car. Another mile. The trees break suddenly, and I see an old rest stop on the right. Completely dark, abandoned. The parking lot's cracked and overgrown with weeds. Pull over here, he says. I thought you wanted to go to the next town. Changed my mind. Pull over. No, my heart's in my throat now. We're almost there. 5 more minutes. He reaches into his jacket pocket. I see the glint of something silver. My whole body goes cold. I said pull over. I don't think so. I just slammed the gas pedal to the floor. The car lurches forward, engine roaring. He grabs for the wheel, and I shove him back hard, swerving across both lanes. He's yelling something, but I can't hear it over the blood pounding in my ears. I see lights ahead. Actual lights. Civilization. A truck stop, 24 hours, bright and safe and full of people. I swerve into the parking lot going way too fast, tires screaming, and slam on the brakes in front of the main entrance. I throw the car into park and jump out, running for the door. I don't look back. I just run. Inside, there's a trucker at the counter buying coffee and a tired waitress wiping down tables. I'm gasping, shaking, and they both stare at me. Call the police, I manage to say. There's a man in my car. The trucker moves fast, heading for the door, but when we all look outside, my car's empty. The passenger door is hanging open, interior light on, but he's gone. Completely gone. The trucker checks around the parking lot with a flashlight from his rig. Nothing. No one. It's like he just evaporated. The police came 20 minutes later. They search the area, take my statement, and check my car. They find the cuts on the passenger seat headrest. Fresh cuts, made with something sharp, like someone was scratching at it from the inside. They find a small knife on the floor mat, the kind you'd use to gut fish. They bag it as evidence. They tell me I'm lucky. They tell me there's been 3 disappearances on Highway 9 in the last 8 months. All solo drivers. All late at night. They never found bodies, never found the cars. Just vanished. One of the officers asked if I got a good look at his face, if I could identify him. I try to remember, but I realize I can't. It's like his features just slide away when I try to picture them. All I remember are those hands, covered in cuts, and that dead, flat voice. They tell me not to drive alone at night anymore. They tell me I should find a different route home. I nod and agree to everything, but I'm not really listening. I'm thinking about what he said. About losing things until you have nothing left. About how people just disappear. I never took Highway 9 again. I drive 2 hours out of my way now, sticking to the main roads where there's always traffic, always lights. But sometimes, late at night when I'm lying in bed, I think about him standing in that darkness at the gas station, waiting. And I wonder how many people said yes before I did. How many people pulled over? How many people never made it to that truck stop? I wonder if he's still out there, standing under those flickering fluorescent lights, waiting for the next person who's tired enough, kind enough, stupid enough to say yes. The second story comes from a woman named Sarah. She sent it to me 3 weeks ago, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. I'm a night shift nurse. I work 11 to 7 at a hospital about 40 miles from where I live, which means I'm driving home every morning right when the sun's coming up, and driving to work every night in the dark. I've done it for 6 years. I've gotten used to the empty roads, the isolation, the way the darkness feels different when you're alone in it. But 3 months ago, something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew about that drive. It was a Tuesday night, just after 10:30. I'd left my house early because I needed gas and wanted to grab something to eat before my shift. The route I take is mostly rural highway, 2 lanes, lots of curves, surrounded by farmland and woods. There's a stretch about 15 miles from the hospital where you don't see houses for at least 10 minutes. No streetlights, no gas stations, nothing. Just road and darkness. I'm about halfway through that empty stretch when I see her. A woman, standing on the shoulder of the road, right at the edge where the pavement meets the gravel. She's wearing a white dress, long, down to her ankles, and she's just standing there with her back to the road. Not moving. Not walking. Just standing. My first thought is that she's broken down, that her car's somewhere in the ditch and she's waiting for help. But when I slow down and pull onto the shoulder behind her, I don't see a car. I don't see anything except her, lit up in my headlights, that white dress almost glowing. I roll down my window. "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help?" She doesn't turn around. Doesn't move at all. I wait a few seconds, my heart starting to beat faster. Something feels wrong. I put the car in park and got out, leaving the engine running. "Miss? Are you hurt?" Still nothing. I take a few steps closer. I'm maybe 10 feet away now, and I can see that her dress is dirty, stained with something dark around the hem. Mud, maybe. Or blood. My nurse instincts kick in, and I move closer. I'm a nurse. If you're injured, I can help. That's when she turns around. Her face is wrong. That's the only way I can describe it. It's not deformed or monstrous, nothing like that. It's just wrong. Her eyes are too wide, unblinking, and her mouth is open in a perfect O, like she's frozen mid-scream. But there's no sound. She just stares at me with that face, and every hair on my body stands up. "Are you okay?" I ask again, but my voice is shaking now. She takes a step toward me. Then another. She's moving in this strange, jerky way, like her joints don't bend right. I back up toward my car. "Stay there. I'm going to call someone to help you." She doesn't stop. She keeps coming, and now she's moving faster, that white dress dragging through the gravel. I turn and run back to my car, jump in, slam the door. I'm fumbling for the lock when she reaches the window. She presses her face against the glass, that mouth still open, those eyes still staring, and she starts scratching. Long, slow scratches down the window with her fingernails. I throw the car into drive and floor it. Gravel sprays everywhere, and I'm back on the highway doing 70 in seconds. I don't look in the rearview mirror. I don't want to see if she's still there. My hands are shaking so hard I can barely hold the wheel. I make it to the hospital, park under the brightest light I can find, and just sit there for 10 minutes trying to calm down. I tell myself it was a prank or someone having a mental health crisis, or maybe I'm just exhausted and saw something that wasn't really there. But when I finally get out of the car, I see the scratches on my window. For long gouges in the glass, deep enough that I can feel them with my fingertips. I don't tell anyone at work. I just do my shift and try not to think about it. But when 7 a.m. comes and it's time to drive home, I'm terrified. I consider waiting, maybe sleeping in my car until there's more traffic on the road. But I'm exhausted, and I just want to be home in my own bed. The drive back is fine until I reach that same stretch of empty highway. It's full daylight now, sun shining, and I can see everything clearly. I'm telling myself there's nothing to worry about. But then I see her again. Same spot. Same white dress. Standing with her back to the road. I won't slow down this time. I don't even breathe. I just keep driving, eyes straight ahead, foot steady on the gas. But as I pass her, I glance in my rearview mirror. She's turning around, and even from that distance, even in broad daylight, I can see that face. That wrong, frozen face. And then she's running. Full sprint, chasing my car down the middle of the highway. She's fast. Impossibly fast. I watch in the mirror as she gets closer, closer, her arms pumping, that dress whipping behind her. I press the gas harder. 85. 90. She's still coming. Then, just as suddenly as she started, she stops. Right in the middle of the road. She just stands there, watching me drive away, getting smaller and smaller until I can't see her anymore. I called the police as soon as I got home. Told them everything. They sent someone out to check the area, but they didn't find anyone. No woman in a white dress. No evidence anyone had been there at all. Except for the scratches on my window. They took photos of those. They asked if I wanted to file a report. I said yes, but I could tell they didn't believe me. They thought I hit something, maybe a deer, and the scratches were from branches. They thought I was tired, seeing things. Maybe I was. But I know what I saw. I know what chased me. I don't take that route anymore. I drive an extra 30 miles out of my way now, sticking to the interstate where there's always traffic. But I still think about her. About that face. About how fast she could run. And I think about all the other people who drive that road late at night, alone, who might not be as lucky as I was. Because I don't think she's gone. I think she's still there, standing on that shoulder, waiting. And I think eventually, someone's going to stop. Someone's going to get close enough. And they're not going to make it back to their car. The third story is from a truck driver named Marcus. He's been on the road for 15 years, seen every highway in the lower 48, and he says this is the only thing that's ever made him consider quitting. I was hauling a load from Nebraska to Pennsylvania, taking the back roads because construction had closed the main interstate. It was around 2 in the morning, middle of nowhere Indiana, and I was running on fumes and energy drinks. The kind of tired where your eyes burn and you keep having to shake your head to stay focused. I should have pulled over, found a rest stop, caught a few hours of sleep. But I was behind schedule, and the company was already telling me about missed deliveries. The road I was on was one of those rural highways that cut straight through farmland, nothing but fields on either side, and the occasional farmhouse set way back from the road. No street lights. No other vehicles. Just my headlights and the darkness pressing in from all sides. I'd been driving for maybe 45 minutes without seeing another soul when my CB radio crackled to life. At first, it was just static. Then a voice came through, male, calm, almost too calm. "Northbound driver, you got your ears on." I grabbed the handset. In truck driving, you don't ignore the CB. Could be someone warning you about an accident, or cops ahead, or road conditions. "Yeah, I copy. This is northbound. Go ahead." "You alone out there?" the voice asked. Something about the question made me hesitate. "Affirmative. Roads are pretty empty tonight." "I can see that," he said. "You're the only lights I've seen in an hour." I looked in my mirrors, scanning the darkness behind me. Nothing. No headlights, no taillights. "Where are you at, driver?" "Right behind you." My blood went cold. I checked the mirrors again. Still nothing. The road behind me was completely empty, stretching back into darkness. "I don't see you." "That's because I'm running dark," he said. His voice still had that same calm quality, but now there was something underneath it. Something that sounded like amusement. "Lights off. Been following you for about 10 miles now." I felt my hands tighten on the wheel. "That's not funny, man. And it's illegal as hell." "Illegal," he repeated, like he was tasting the word. "Yeah, I suppose it is. But you know what else is illegal? Driving when you're this tired. I can see you swerving. You nearly clipped the shoulder twice in the last mile." He was right. I had been drifting. But that wasn't the point. "Turn your lights on and back off. I don't know what game you're playing." "It's not a game," he interrupted. "I just wanted to see how long it would take you to notice." 10 miles. That's how long you've had another vehicle right behind you, and you had no idea. He paused. "Makes you think, doesn't it? About all the things that could be following you that you don't notice." I grabbed my phone, ready to call the police. But out here, in the middle of nowhere, I didn't even have a signal. One bar, flickering in and out. "Who are you?" "Just another driver," he said. "Same as you. Trying to make a living. Trying to get from point A to point B. But sometimes, late at night, when it's just you and the road, you start thinking about things. About how easy it would be to just veer into the other lane. To not hit the brakes when someone's walking on the shoulder. To just keep going and never look back. You need help, man. Serious help." He laughed. It was a cold sound, empty. Maybe. Or maybe I'm the only honest one out here. Have you ever thought about it? About how much power you have behind that wheel? 80,000 pounds, moving at 70 miles per hour. You could wipe out an entire family and just keep driving. Who would know? I was watching my mirrors constantly now, trying to catch any sign of him. But there was nothing. Just darkness. "I'm calling the cops." "With what signal?" he asked. "And tell them what? That someone's talking to you on the CB? That you can't see them but you know they're there?" Another laugh. "Good luck with that." The radio went silent. I waited, handset pressed to my ear, listening to the static. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Nothing. I kept checking the mirrors, scanning the darkness, but I was alone. Completely alone. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt more afraid than before. Because if he was telling the truth, if he'd really been following me for 10 miles with his lights off, then he could still be there. Right behind me. Close enough to hit me if I braked. Close enough to run me off the road. I kept driving, faster now, pushing 75 even though the road wasn't really safe for it. I just wanted to get somewhere with lights, with people, with help. The CB stayed silent. 5 miles. 10. 15. Still nothing. Then I saw lights ahead. A truck stop, glowing like a beacon in the darkness. I've never been so happy to see a flying J in my entire life. I pulled in, parked under the brightest lights I could find, and just sat there for a minute, trying to get my heart rate under control. That's when the CB crackled again. Sweet dreams, driver. I dropped the handset like it was on fire. I looked around the parking lot. There were maybe a dozen trucks parked, all dark, all silent. Any one of them could be his. Or none of them. I grabbed my phone. 2 bars. Enough. I called the police, told them everything. They said they'd send someone out, but I could hear the skepticism in the dispatcher's voice. Someone on a CB radio said some creepy things. Without a vehicle description, without a license plate, there wasn't much they could do. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my cab with the doors locked, lights on, watching every truck that came and went. The police showed up around 3:30, took my statement, checked my rig. They didn't find anything. They told me to get some rest, to report it to the highway patrol if it happened again. But it didn't happen again. I finished my route, dropped my load, and drove back home. I've made that run a dozen times since then, and I've never heard that voice on the CB again. But I think about it every single time I'm on an empty highway at night. I think about how he followed me for 10 miles without me noticing. I think about all the things he said, about power and control and how easy it would be to just keep going. And I think about all the other drivers out there, alone on empty roads, talking on their CB radios. Trusting that the voices they hear are just other drivers trying to pass the time. I think about how easy it would be for someone to use that trust. To get close. To follow in the darkness, waiting for the right moment. I still drive at night. It's part of the job. But I don't answer the CB anymore unless I know the voice. And I check my mirrors constantly, watching for lights that might not be there. Because I know now what I didn't know before. There are people out there in the darkness, and some of them are watching. Some of them are waiting. And some of them are right behind you. The 4th story comes from someone who asked to remain anonymous. She only told me her first name, Amanda, and made me promise not to share any identifying details. After you hear what happened to her, you'll understand why. I was driving home from my boyfriend's apartment around midnight. It was a 40-minute drive, mostly highway, with the last 10 minutes on local roads through a suburban area. I've made the drive hundreds of times. I knew every turn, every light, every landmark. It was routine. Safe. Or at least I thought it was. I was about 5 minutes from home when I noticed the headlights behind me. They'd appeared suddenly, like the car had pulled out from a side street, and they were close. Too close. I tapped my brakes, just a warning, hoping they'd back off. They didn't. They matched my speed exactly, staying right on my bumper. I changed lanes. They changed lanes. I slowed down to let them pass. They slowed down. My heart started beating faster. This wasn't normal road rage. This was something else. I pulled out my phone and called my boyfriend. "Someone's following me," I said as soon as he picked up. "Are you sure? Maybe they're just going the same way." "No. They're right behind me. They've been matching every move I make for the last 2 minutes." "Okay, stay calm. Don't go home. Drive to the police station. I'll stay on the phone with you." The nearest police station was about 15 minutes away, back the direction I'd come from. I took the next exit and got back on the highway heading the opposite direction. The headlights followed. They stayed right behind me, close enough that I could barely see them in my rearview mirror. Just bright lights, blinding. "They're still following," I told my boyfriend. My voice is shaking now. "Just keep driving. You're almost there." But as I got closer to the police station, something changed. The car behind me started flashing its lights. Bright, then dark. Bright, then dark. Over and over. I thought maybe they were trying to signal me, trying to warn me about something. But what about? They're flashing their lights, I said. Don't stop. Just keep going. I was 2 blocks from the police station when the car behind me suddenly accelerated and pulled up next to me. I couldn't see inside. The windows were tinted. But as they pulled alongside, they slowed to match my speed, staying right next to me. We were both doing about 40 now, side by side, and I was too terrified to look over. I just kept my eyes straight ahead, hands gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles were white. Then they pulled ahead and cut me off, forcing me to brake hard. I thought they were going to hit me. I thought this was it. But instead, they just stopped in the middle of the road, blocking both lanes. I was trapped behind them, and I could see the police station lights just ahead, less than a block away. The driver's door opened. A man got out. He was tall, wearing jeans and a dark hoodie, and he started walking toward my car. I laid on the horn, screaming, hoping someone at the police station would hear. The man kept coming. He was almost at my door when I threw the car in reverse and floored it backward, swerving onto the shoulder. I managed to get around his car and sped past him, running a red light, not caring, just needing to get to safety. I pulled into the police station parking lot and jumped out of my car, still on the phone with my boyfriend, still crying. 2 officers came running out, and I tried to explain what happened. They told me to stay there and got in their patrol car, heading back toward where I'd last seen the man. They came back 20 minutes later. They'd found his car, abandoned in the middle of the road, doors still open. But the man was gone. They ran the plates. The car had been reported stolen 3 hours earlier from a mall parking lot 2 towns over. The officers asked me if I'd noticed anything else. Anything unusual. I hadn't, but then one of them walked around my car and called me over. "Ma'am, did you know your back door was open?" I felt my blood turn to ice. "What? Your back passenger door. It's not closed all the way." I hadn't opened that door in days. I always kept my car locked. Always. But somehow, at some point during that drive, my back door had been opened. Or someone had tried to open it. The officer shined his flashlight into my back seat. There was a knife on the floor. A hunting knife, 8 inches long, lying right behind the driver's seat where I'd been sitting. The other officer looked at me, and I could see the realization on his face. "The car is following you," he said slowly. "The one flashing its lights. I don't think they were trying to scare you. I think they were trying to warn you." It took me a second to understand. Then it hit me all at once, and I thought I was going to be sick. Someone had been in my car. In my back seat. While I was driving. The car behind me had seen them sitting up maybe, reaching for me, and they'd been trying to warn me by flashing their lights. The person had been trying to get to me, and every time the car behind me flashed their lights, they ducked back down. When the car pulled alongside me and then cut me off, they weren't trying to hurt me. They were trying to make me stop in front of the police station. They were trying to save me. And when I sped away, when I reversed and went around them, the person in my back seat must have jumped out. That's why the door was open. That's why they found the car abandoned. The police searched the area all night. They brought in dogs. They checked security footage from nearby businesses. They never found him. Whoever it was, whoever had been in my back seat with a knife, waiting for the right moment, had vanished into the darkness. They did find fingerprints on the knife. They matched them to a man named Eric Valdez, someone with a history of assault and breaking and entering. There was a warrant out for his arrest in connection with 2 other attacks on women. Both of them had been alone, driving at night. Both of them had been stabbed in their cars at red lights. One of them survived. The other didn't. I think about that night constantly. I think about how close I came. I think about those headlights behind me, flashing their warning, and how I almost didn't make it because I thought they were the danger. I think about sitting in my car, talking to my boyfriend, completely unaware that someone was right behind me, inches away, holding a knife. I think about the person who followed me, who tried to warn me, who cut me off and forced me to stop at the police station. I never found out who they were. The stolen car was clean. No fingerprints except mine where I'd touched it when I went around. But whoever they were, they saved my life. And they probably don't even know it. I don't drive alone at night anymore. I don't care if it's inconvenient. I don't care if people think I'm paranoid. Because I know now what can happen. I know how someone can be right behind you, in your blind spot, and you have no idea. I know how close danger can be without you seeing it. And I know that the next person might not be as lucky. They might not have someone following them, flashing their lights, trying to warn them. They might not make it to the police station. They might just be another story, another unsolved case, another person who vanished on a dark road and was never seen again. Check your back seat. Every time. Before you get in your car. Before you start driving. Every single time. Because it only takes one moment of carelessness. One unlocked door. 1 second of distraction. And then someone else is in control. Someone else decides what happens next. And by the time you realize, it's already too late. The fifth story happened to a man named David. He's a regional sales manager, spends half his life on the road, driving from one client meeting to another. He's driven through blizzards, thunderstorms, and dense fog. He's seen accidents, breakdowns, and every kind of road hazard you can imagine. But nothing prepared him for what happened on a Tuesday night in October. I was driving back from a meeting in Columbus, heading home to Cincinnati. It was around 9 p.m., and I'd taken Route 35 instead of the interstate because I'd heard there was construction. The route was longer but supposedly faster. It cuts through rural Ohio, lots of small towns and farmland, the kind of area where you lose cell signal for long stretches. About an hour into the drive, I saw a car on the side of the road with its hazards on. It was an older sedan, maybe a 90s Honda, and I could see someone standing next to it, waving their arms. Without thinking, I pulled over. I've been stranded before. I know what it's like. And out here, in the middle of nowhere, you can't always count on AAA showing up quickly. As I got out of my car, I realized it was a young woman, maybe early 20s. She looked relieved when she saw me. "Thank God," she said. "I've been stuck here for almost an hour. My car just died. No warning, just stopped running." "Did you call someone?" I asked. She shook her head. "No signal. I've tried everything. I checked my phone." She was right. No bars. "All right, let me take a look at it." Pop the hood. I'm not a mechanic, but I know enough to check the basics. Battery connections, alternator belt, obvious leaks. Everything looked fine. I tried to start it. Nothing. Completely dead. No clicking, no sound at all. "I think it might be your ignition switch," I told her. "Or maybe the fuel pump. Either way, it's not something I can fix here. You need a tow." She looked like she was about to cry. "The nearest town is 20 miles back." I don't know what to do. I felt bad for her. She was clearly scared, and it was getting darker by the minute. "Look, I can give you a ride to the next town. There's a gas station with a mechanic there. They can send a tow truck back for your car." She hesitated. "Are you sure? I don't want to be a burden." "It's no problem. Come on, let's get you somewhere safe." She grabbed a small backpack from her car and got into my passenger seat. As we pulled back onto the road, she introduced herself as Emily. She'd been driving home from visiting a friend, and this was the first time her car had ever broken down. She seemed nice, a little nervous, but that was understandable. We'd been driving for maybe 5 minutes when she asked, "Do you mind if I charge my phone? The battery died while I was waiting." "Sure, there's a charging cable in the center console." She plugged in her phone and leaned back in her seat. "Thank you so much for stopping. Most people wouldn't have." "No problem. Like I said, I've been there." We made small talk for a few more minutes. She told me about her job, about the friends she'd been visiting, and normal conversation. But then I noticed something. Every time I glanced over at her, she was looking at the door locks. Not obviously, just quick little glances. And her hand kept drifting toward the door handle, like she was ready to jump out. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah, I'm fine." But her voice was tight, strained. That's when I heard it. A faint buzzing sound, coming from the back seat. I glanced in the rearview mirror. There was nothing there, just my gym bag and some files from work. But the buzzing continued, getting slightly louder. "Do you hear that?" I asked. She went completely still. "Hear what?" "That buzzing. It's coming from the back seat." She didn't answer. She just stared straight ahead, her face pale. The buzzing stopped suddenly, and in the silence that followed, I heard something else. Breathing. Slow, deliberate breathing that wasn't coming from either of us. I slammed on the brakes, and the car screeched to a halt in the middle of the road. "There's someone in the back seat," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Emily was already moving. She grabbed the door handle, threw the door open, and jumped out. "Drive," she screamed. "Just drive." But I couldn't move. I was frozen, staring in the rearview mirror at the shape rising up behind my seat. A man, dressed in black, holding something in his hand. In that split second, I saw his face. Young, maybe mid-20s, with cold, empty eyes. Then my survival instincts kicked in. I threw the car into park, opened my door, and dove out just as he lunged forward from the back seat. I hit the pavement hard, rolled, and came up running. Emily was already 50 feet down the road, sprinting. I ran after her, and behind us, I could hear my car door opening, footsteps hitting the asphalt. He was chasing us. We ran for what felt like forever but was probably only a minute. The road was pitch black, no lights anywhere, and I couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. I could hear him behind us, gaining ground. He was faster than us. Much faster. Then Emily grabbed my arm and pulled me off the road, into the tree line. We crashed through brush and low branches, making way too much noise, but we didn't have a choice. We had to get off the open road. We ran deeper into the woods, zigzagging between trees, trying to lose him. I could still hear him crashing through the undergrowth behind us, closer than I wanted him to be. My lungs were burning, my legs felt like lead, but I kept going. Suddenly, Emily pulled me down behind a fallen log. We pressed ourselves flat against the ground, trying not to breathe too loud. The footsteps got closer, then stopped. Complete silence. I could hear my heart pounding in my ears, could feel Emily shaking next to me. A light swept over the log above our heads. A flashlight. He was looking for us. The beam moved slowly, methodically, searching the area. I closed my eyes, praying he wouldn't see us. The light passed over us twice, then moved away. The footsteps started again, moving in a different direction. We waited. 5 minutes. 10. The sounds of him searching grew fainter, then disappeared entirely. We didn't move. We just lay there in the dirt and leaves, too terrified to do anything else. Finally, after what felt like an hour, Emily whispered, "We need to move. We can't stay here." We got up slowly, carefully, and started moving through the woods parallel to the road. We didn't have a plan. We just knew we had to get to somewhere with lights, with people, with help. We walked for almost 2 hours, stumbling through the darkness, before we saw lights ahead. A farmhouse. We ran to it and pounded on the door. An older man answered, shotgun in hand, looking alarmed. We must have looked insane, covered in dirt and scratches, gasping for air. But we managed to explain enough that he let us in and called the police. The police found my car exactly where I'd left it, doors still open, engine still running. They found the man's belongings in the back seat. A knife, rope, duct tape, and a small camera. There were photos on the camera. Other women. Other cars. Other roads. At least a dozen different women, all alone, all at night. Some of the photos were just surveillance shots. Others were taken inside vehicles. Close-ups of faces, frozen in fear. They traced the phone he'd been using to set up the trap. He'd posted a fake ad for Emily's car online, offering to buy it. When she'd responded, he'd set up a meeting place on that isolated stretch of road. But Emily didn't exist. The real Emily was a college student whose identity had been stolen. The woman I'd picked up, the one who'd been in my car, was his accomplice. She'd been the bait. The plan was simple. She'd flag down a solo driver, someone who'd stop to help. She'd get in the car, keep them calm and distracted while her partner hid in the back seat. Once they were far enough from any help, he'd make his move. They'd done it at least 5 times before. The police were able to identify 3 of the victims from the photos. All 3 were missing persons cases. None of them had ever been found. The police caught them 4 days later at a motel in Kentucky. They'd stolen another car and were planning to move to a different state, start over somewhere new. The man's name was Tyler Nash. The woman's name was Angela Reyes. They're both in prison now, facing multiple charges including kidnapping, assault, and murder. But here's what keeps me up at night. Before they were caught, before any of this came out, I drove past that same spot again. It was daytime, and I wanted to see it in the light, and wanted to prove to myself that it was just a normal stretch of road. And there was another car broken down on the shoulder. A different car, a different person standing next to it, waving for help. I didn't stop. I called the police and reported it, but I didn't stop. And I think about that person. I think about whether they were real, whether they really needed help, or whether it was someone else using the same trap. I think about all the people who drive that road every night, who might see someone in distress and stop because it's the right thing to do. Because that's what they count on. They count on people being good, helpful, and kind. And they use that kindness as a weapon. They turn your best instincts against you. I still help people when I can. But I'm more careful now. I don't pull over on isolated roads. I called the police instead. And I check my back seat every single time before I get in my car. Every single time. Because I know what can be hiding there in the shadows, waiting for the moment when you're not paying attention. And once they're in your car, once you're moving and trapped in a confined space with someone who means you harm, your options are limited. You can try to escape, like I did. You can fight. You can hope you're close enough to help. But the odds aren't in your favor. Because they've done this before. They know what they're doing. And they've already decided what happens next. So check your back seat. Lock your doors. Don't stop for strangers on dark roads. And if something feels wrong, trust that instinct. Because the alternative is becoming another photo on someone's camera, another missing person case that never gets solved, another story that ends in darkness. The 6th story comes from a college student named Jake. He was driving home for winter break, a 6-hour trip from his university in Michigan back to his parents' house in Illinois. It was his first time driving that route alone at night, and it was a decision he's regretted every day since. I left campus around 8 p.m., later than I'd planned, but I'd had a final exam that afternoon and needed to pack afterward. The drive was mostly interstate, straight shot through Indiana, and I figured I'd be home by 2 in the morning. My parents knew I was coming. I texted them when I left. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. The first 4 hours were uneventful. I stopped once for gas and food, stretched my legs, checked my phone. I had a good time. But around midnight, about an hour from home, I started seeing the same car. A dark SUV, maybe black or navy blue, with tinted windows. It would appear in my rearview mirror, follow me for a few miles, then disappear when I changed lanes or took an exit. Then it would reappear 10 minutes later. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Lots of people drive the same routes. But after the third time it happened, I started paying attention. And that's when I noticed the pattern. Every time I saw the SUV, it was exactly 3 cars behind me. Not 2. Not 4. Always 3. Like they were deliberately maintaining that distance. I tried to lose them. I sped up to 85. They sped up. I slowed down to 60. They slowed down. I took an exit without signaling, at the last second. 2 minutes later, they were behind me again. 3 cars back. My hands were sweating on the wheel. I called my dad. "I think someone's following me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Where are you?" "Just past the exit for Lafayette. About 45 minutes out." "Okay, listen. Get off at the next exit. Find a well-lit area, a gas station or something. I'll call the police and meet you there." I took the next exit and pulled into a 24-hour truck stop. There were a dozen semis parked, lights on in the main building, plenty of people around. I parked right in front of the entrance and waited. The SUV pulled in 30 seconds later. But instead of parking, they just drove slowly through the lot, passing right behind my car, then pulled back onto the highway. I sat there for 20 minutes, watching the entrance, waiting for them to come back. They didn't. My dad called to say the police were on their way, but I was starting to feel stupid. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe it was just another driver heading the same direction. I waited until a police cruiser pulled into the lot, then got out and explained what happened. The officer took my information, checked my car, and walked around the lot. He was nice about it, but I could tell he thought I was just a paranoid kid. "Probably just someone heading home from work," he said. "Same route, same timing. Happens all the time. But you did the right thing stopping. Better safe than sorry." He followed me back to the highway and stayed behind me for about 10 miles before splitting off. I felt better having him there. Safer. But when his lights disappeared in my rearview mirror, that feeling disappeared too. I was 15 minutes from home when I saw the SUV again. It came out of nowhere, no headlights, just suddenly there in the lane next to me. They matched my speed exactly, staying right beside me. I couldn't see inside. The windows were too dark. I sped up. They sped up. I changed lanes. They changed lanes, staying right next to me. Then they started drifting into my lane. Slowly, deliberately, forcing me toward the shoulder. I laid on the horn, swerving right to avoid them. They kept coming. I was half on the shoulder now, gravel spraying under my tires, and they were still pushing me over. I slammed on the brakes, and they shot past me. I thought that was it, thought they'd keep going. But they braked too hard, and stopped right in the middle of the highway. I was still slowing down, maybe 40 miles per hour, when I realized they were reversing. Coming back toward me. Fast. I threw the car in reverse and floored it backward, veering onto the shoulder. They kept coming, reverse lights bright, closing the distance between us. I was going 30 miles per hour backward, on a highway shoulder, in the dark, and they were gaining on me. Then I saw headlights ahead. Another car, coming up fast. I pulled hard to the right, back onto the shoulder, and the SUV swerved back into the lane just in time to avoid hitting the other car head-on. The other car blasted past, horn blaring, and the SUV stopped. I didn't wait to see what they'd do next. I spun the wheel, pulled back onto the highway, and floored it. I was doing 95, hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the wheel. I called 911, screaming my location, what was happening, begging them to send help. The dispatcher stayed on the line with me, calm and professional, telling me to keep driving, that units were on the way. I was 5 minutes from my parents' house when I saw the police lights behind me. 3 cruisers, lights flashing, sirens wailing. The SUV was gone. Vanished. Like it had never been there. The police searched the area for 2 hours. They checked every exit, every side road, every possible place the SUV could have gone. They found nothing. No vehicle matching that description, no witnesses, no evidence. Just my story and the skid marks on the highway shoulder where I'd been forced off the road. They asked if I'd noticed the license plate. I hadn't. They asked if I could describe the driver. I couldn't. They asked if I had any idea why someone would target me specifically. I had no idea. I was just a college kid driving home for break. I wasn't involved in anything, didn't owe anyone money, didn't have any enemies. I was nobody. But that's the thing that haunts me. I was random. Whoever was in that SUV didn't know me. They chose me because I was alone, because it was late, because I was vulnerable. It was just convenient. The police kept my case open for a few weeks, but without any leads, there wasn't much they could do. They told me to be careful, to vary my routes, to always let someone know where I was. Standard advice. But it didn't make me feel any safer. I didn't drive home alone after that. I either flew or got a ride with friends. And I never took that route again. But I think about that night constantly. I think about how close I came to being run off the road. I think about what would have happened if that other car hadn't come along, if I hadn't been able to get away. And I think about all the other drivers on that highway, all the other college kids and truck drivers and families just trying to get from one place to another. I think about how many of them might have encountered the same SUV, the same tactic, the same danger. And how many of them might not have been as lucky as I was. Because whoever was driving that SUV is still out there. They're still on the road, still looking for the next solo driver, still waiting for the next opportunity. And the next person might not see them coming. They might not have time to react. They might just be another unsolved case, another abandoned car on the side of the highway, another mystery that never gets answered. So if you're driving alone at night, pay attention to the cars around you. Notice patterns. Notice when someone stays a consistent distance behind you, or when they follow you through multiple exits, or when they match every move you make. Because those aren't coincidences. Those are warnings. And if you see a dark SUV with tinted windows, 3 cars back, maintaining perfect distance, get off the highway. Find somewhere public, somewhere with lights and people. Call the police. Don't convince yourself you're overreacting. Don't wait to see what happens next. Just get somewhere safe. Because by the time you know for sure, by the time they make their move, it might already be too late. The final story is mine. And it's the reason I started collecting these stories in the first place. Because I needed to know I wasn't alone. I needed to know that other people had experienced what I experienced and survived. It happened 2 years ago. I was driving home from a concert in Portland, back to my apartment in Seattle. It was around 11 p.m., and I'd taken I-5 like I always did. 3-hour drive, straight shot, nothing complicated. I'd made that drive at least 50 times. I knew every rest stop, every exit, every stretch of road. About an hour into the drive, just south of Olympia, I saw something in the middle of the highway. At first, I thought it was a deer or a piece of debris. But as I got closer, I realized it was a person. A man, standing perfectly still in the center lane, facing my direction. He was wearing what looked like a long coat, and his arms were at his sides. He wasn't moving. Wasn't trying to get out of the way. Just standing there. I swerved into the left lane to avoid him, heart racing, and looked in my rearview mirror to see if he was okay. But he was gone. The road behind me was empty. No person. No nothing. Just an empty highway stretching back into darkness. I told myself I'd imagined it. That I was tired, that my eyes were playing tricks on me. But my hands were shaking, and I couldn't shake the image of him standing there, perfectly still, waiting. 10 minutes later, I saw him again. Same man, same coat, standing in the middle of the highway. This time I was ready. I slowed down, moved over early, and kept my eyes on him as I passed. He turned his head to watch me. Slowly, deliberately. And I saw his face. It was blank. Not expressionless. Blank. Like someone had erased his features. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth skin where a face should have been. I screamed. I couldn't help it. I slammed on the gas and sped past him, doing 90, 100, not caring about speed limits or cops or anything except getting away from that thing. Because it wasn't a man. It couldn't have been. I was breathing so hard I thought I might pass out. I grabbed my phone to call 911, but before I could dial, I saw him again. On the shoulder this time, on my side of the road, standing just at the edge of my headlights. Watching me pass. That blank face turning to follow my car. I drove faster. 110. 120. The engine was screaming, the car was shaking, but I didn't care. I just needed to get away. He appeared again. Middle of the road. I swerved around him. Then again, on the shoulder. Then again, in the left lane. Every mile, sometimes every half mile, he was there. Always in a different spot. Always facing me. Always watching with that horrible blank face. I started crying. I couldn't help it. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be happening. People don't teleport. People don't appear and disappear. But he kept showing up, over and over, and every time I saw him, he was closer to my car. First 50 feet ahead. Then 30. Then 20. Getting closer with each appearance. I tried calling 911. No signal. I tried calling anyone. No signal. My phone was fully charged, full bars when I'd left the concert, but now there was nothing. Just, no service, across the top of the screen. The figure appeared directly in front of my car. I slammed on the brakes, and the car went into a skid. I spun across both lanes, tires screaming, before coming to a stop sideways across the highway. The engine stalled. Everything went silent. I sat there in the darkness, too terrified to move. My headlights were pointed off the road, into the trees, and I couldn't see the highway. Couldn't see if he was still there. I tried to start the car. The engine turned over once, twice, then nothing. Dead. That's when I heard the footsteps. Slow, measured footsteps on asphalt, getting closer. I looked in the side mirror and saw him. He was walking toward my car from behind, that same deliberate pace, arms still at his sides. I tried the engine again. It coughed but didn't start. The footsteps got closer. I could see him in the mirror now, maybe 30 feet away. 20. 10. I was sobbing, turning the key over and over, pumping the gas, begging the car to start. The engine roared to life. I threw it in drive and floored it. The tires spun on the asphalt before catching, and I shot forward, back onto the highway. I didn't look back. I didn't check the mirrors. I just drove. I drove until I saw lights. A rest stop, about 20 miles north. I pulled in and parked right in front of the main building, under the brightest lights I could find. There were a few other cars there, a couple of trucks. I ran inside and found a security guard. I tried to explain what happened. But I sounded insane even to myself. A man with no face appeared on the highway. A car that wouldn't start. I could see the doubt in the guard's eyes, but he called the state patrol anyway. They showed up 30 minutes later. They checked my car. The battery was fine. The engine was fine. They couldn't find anything wrong with it. They asked if I'd been drinking. I hadn't. They asked if I'd taken any medication. I hadn't. They asked if I had a history of hallucinations. I didn't. One of the troopers drove south along the highway, checking for any reports of a pedestrian or an accident. He came back an hour later. Nothing. No reports, no witnesses, no evidence that anyone had been on the road. They let me go with a warning about fatigue and suggested I get some sleep before continuing. I stayed at the rest stop until sunrise, sitting in my car with the doors locked, staring at the highway, waiting to see if he'd appear again. He didn't. I finished the drive home as soon as there was daylight. I never saw him again. But I haven't driven that route at night since. I fly now, or I drive during the day, or I just don't go. Because I know what I saw. I know that blank face, those slow deliberate steps, the way he appeared and disappeared like he was glitching in and out of reality. And I know I'm not the only one who's seen him. I've heard from 3 other people since I started collecting these stories. 3 other people who saw the same figure, on the same stretch of highway, late at night. One of them was a truck driver who said the figure walked through his truck, passed right through the windshield and out the back like he wasn't even solid. Another was a woman who said she hit him with her car, felt the impact, saw him go over the hood. But when she stopped to check, there was no body. No damage to her car. Nothing. No one knows what he is. A ghost. A hallucination. Some kind of mass hysteria. But he's real enough that people see him. Real enough that he terrifies every single person who encounters him. And real enough that I'll never forget that blank face, turning to watch me as I drove past, again and again and again. If you drive I-5 between Olympia and Portland late at night, pay attention. If you see someone standing in the middle of the highway, don't assume they're human. Don't slow down. Don't stop. Just keep driving. Because if you stop, if you let him get close, I don't know what happens next. And I don't want to find out. These are the stories. 7 different people. 7 different encounters. 7 different roads. But they all have the same theme. Darkness. Isolation. And things that wait in the shadows for people who are alone. The highways are dangerous at night. Not just because of drunk drivers or animals or bad weather. But because of the people out there who use that darkness as cover. Who prey on solo drivers. Who waits for the perfect moment to strike. And maybe because of something else. Something that can't be explained by logic or reason. Something that exists in those empty spaces between towns, in those stretches of road where your headlights are the only light for miles. Something that watches and waits and appears when you least expect it. So be careful out there. Lock your doors. Check your back seat. Trust your instincts. And if something feels wrong, if you see something that shouldn't be there, if you encounter someone who makes every hair on your body stand up, don't ignore it. Don't convince yourself you're being paranoid. Just get somewhere safe. Call for help. And never, ever stop on a dark road for someone you don't know. Because you might be the next story. You might be the next person who encounters something terrible on a lonely highway in the middle of the night. And you might not be as lucky as we were. You might not make it home to tell the story. So drive safely. Stay alert. And remember, the most dangerous part of any night drive isn't the road itself. It's what's waiting alongside it. What's hiding in the darkness. What's watching for the next person who's alone, vulnerable, and unaware that they're being hunted? The last passenger might not be someone you invited. They might already be in your car, waiting in the back seat. They might be the headlights following you mile after mile. They might be standing in the middle of the road ahead, waiting for you to slow down. And by the time you realize they're there, by the time you understand what's happening, it's already too late to escape. These stories are real. The people who told them are real. And the danger is real. So the next time you're driving alone at night, remember these stories. Remember that you're not as safe as you think. And remember to check your mirrors, lock your doors, and never, ever assume you're alone on that dark highway. Because chances are, you're not.